Kang Jun-hyuk, the ruthless CEO of Kang Enterprises, was known for his cold, calculating nature in business. He never hesitated when it came to mergers or acquisitions, and for him, the company always came first. Raised under a strict upbringing where emotions were seen as weaknesses, he had become a man of logic and distance. But on that rainy morning, as he stepped into the lobby of his own corporation, his carefully structured routine was unexpectedly disrupted. Yoon-ha-ri, an administrative department employee, was rushing through the halls, carrying a heavy stack of documents when she turned a corner and crashed violently into a tall, imposing figure. Papers flew into the air, scattering across the polished floor. The loud sound echoed through the elegant building, drawing the attention of passing employees. Ha-ri's eyes widened in horror as she realized who stood before her. President Kang. Her voice trembled as she hurriedly crouched down to gather the papers. Jun-hyuk remained still for a moment, watching her with an intense gaze. It was rare for anyone to dare collide with him. His presence usually intimidated everyone, yet here she was completely vulnerable, her eyes betraying a mix of fear and embarrassment. But instead of irritation, he felt an odd curiosity. There was something about this woman that intrigued him. "Are you always this clumsy?" His voice was laced with sarcasm. Hari swallowed hard, her hands shaking as she hurriedly stacked the documents in a messy pile. Her heart pounded against her chest. Working at Kang Enterprises was already challenging. But now, after literally crashing into the CEO, she feared her days at the company were numbered. "I'm so sorry, President. I didn't see you. Her voice wavered under the pressure. She couldn't afford to lose her job now, not when she was finally managing to pay off her family's debts. To her surprise, he crouched down and picked up one of the fallen papers. As he handed it back to her, their fingers brushed slightly, sending an unexpected shiver down her spine. Jun-hyuk's gaze lingered on her for a moment longer than necessary, as if he were trying to decipher something hidden in her expression. "Be more careful." His voice was firm, yet somehow, it didn't feel like a reprimand. And without another word, he turned and walked away. Hari remained frozen on her knees, her heart racing. What was that? Why did it feel as if that encounter would change her life? She shouldn't be thinking about this. She had bills to pay, a simple life to maintain, and a CEO like Kang Jun-hyuk was completely out of reach for someone like her. That night, Jun-hyuk found himself thinking about her something that never happened with ordinary employees. He knew he shouldn't be distracted by something so trivial. His time was precious. Every second planned and dedicated to Kang Enterprises. But somehow, Yoon-ha-ri had awakened something inside him. And that was dangerous. In the days following the accident in the Kang Enterprises lobby, Yoon-ha-ri did everything she could to avoid another encounter with the CEO. She kept her head down, buried in stacks of documents and endless emails at her workstation. If there was even the slightest chance of crossing paths with Kang Jun-hyuk, she quickly changed direction. However, fate seemed to have other plans for her. That Friday, an emergency meeting was called by the president himself. The conference room was packed with directors and managers, and as an administrative assistant, Hari was summoned to take notes. She kept her head low as she entered, silently praying that he wouldn't notice her presence. However, as she took her usual seat, she felt an intense gaze on her. Hesitantly, she lifted her eyes and found Kang Jun-hyuk staring at her from across the meeting table. His gaze was piercing, as if he were trying to read her soul. Hari quickly looked away, feeling heat rise to her face. The meeting continued with discussions about new contracts and market expansion, but Hari could barely focus. Her hand trembled slightly as she scribbled down key points. When the meeting finally ended, she let out a quiet sigh of relief, believing she could slip out unnoticed. "Yoon-ha-ri, stay." Jun-hyuk's voice echoed through the room, making her heart skip a beat. The other employees exchanged glances, but left without questioning. Once the door closed, she remained seated, a chill running down her spine. "President, did I do something wrong?" Her voice was soft and hesitant. Jun-hyuk stood and walked toward her, placing his hands on the glass table. His gaze remained locked on her, the tension in the air almost suffocating. "Why are you avoiding me?" he asked directly, his expression unreadable. "Ha!" Ree's eyes widened in shock. Her heart pounded in her chest. "I'm not avoiding you. I've just been busy with my tasks." She tried to explain, but the way he raised an eyebrow told her he wasn't convinced. I don't like employees who lie." His voice was low, but full of authority. Hari felt her palms grow sweaty. It was true that she had been avoiding him, but how could she admit it? She was just an ordinary employee, while he was one of the most powerful men in the country. Junhyuk remained silent for a few seconds before exhaling lightly. "You don't need to be afraid of me, but I need you to take on a specific task from now on." Hari blinked, confused. "A task? I need a temporary personal assistant for an external project. Your supervisor recommended you." He crossed his arms. "Starting Monday, you will accompany me to meetings and corporate events." "Huh?" Ree's heart stopped for a moment. Working directly with Kang Junhyuk? That meant spending hours by his side, dealing with his intimidating presence, and constantly being observed by others. But she hesitated. "Is there a problem?" he inquired, leaning slightly closer. She wanted to refuse. She wanted to say she wasn't the right person for the job, but the words caught in her throat. There was no way to defy a direct order from the company's president. "No, sir," she finally answered, her voice quiet. Junhyuk nodded, satisfied. "Good. I'll see you on Monday." With that, he left the room, leaving Hari alone, still trying to process what had just happened. Her fate had just been sealed, and she wasn't sure whether to celebrate or panic. Monday arrived faster than Hari would have liked. Her heart was a whirlwind of emotions as she ascended to the top floor of Kang Enterprises. As an administrative assistant, she was used to working in the lower offices, far from the executive suite. But now, here she was, standing before the massive glass door that led to the office of the most powerful man in the company. Taking a deep breath, Hari knocked lightly on the door. "Come in." Kang Junhyuk's deep voice carried across the room, making her heart leap. She stepped inside hesitantly. The office was spacious and sophisticated, with large windows offering a breathtaking view of the city. The scent of coffee and leather filled the air. Behind a pristine desk, Junhyuk was reviewing documents, not looking up immediately. "Sit," he ordered, pointing to a chair across from him. Hari obeyed, trying to keep her hands steady on her lap. His presence was overwhelming, but not in an aggressive way. It was as if every movement, every word he spoke, carried a silent intensity. Finally, he lifted his gaze and locked eyes with her. "From today onward, you'll be by my side for meetings and external events. I want you to manage my schedule, review preliminary contracts, and filter important calls." She nodded, mentally trying to absorb everything. "Yes, sir." He tilted his head slightly, as if analyzing her expression. "You're nervous?" Hari blinked quickly. "No, I mean, a little. I've never worked directly with you before." A small smile, most imperceptible, touched the corner of Junhyuk's lips, but before he could respond, the door suddenly swung open. "Junhyuk, what is this I'm hearing?" Hari turned just in time to see a woman enter the office. She was elegant, with an impeccable posture and a sharp, demanding gaze. Her features were similar to Junhyuk's, making it clear they were related. "Mother," he sighed, closing the file in his hands. "What brings you here unannounced? Don't pretend you don't know." She turned her scrutinizing gaze directly to Hari, assessing her from head to toe. "I heard rumors that you're giving special attention to an employee." "Ha!" Ree's heart stopped. What was happening? Why was the company president's mother concerned about her? Junhyuk remained impassive. "I wasn't aware that hiring a personal assistant was an issue." The woman crossed her arms, looking down at Hari. "An assistant? Or something else?" The silence that followed was thick, like a storm cloud about to break. Hari didn't know if she should defend herself or stay quiet. Junhyuk then rose slowly, his presence filling the room. "If you're so concerned, rest assured. Hari is my assistant, nothing more." His voice was cold, but there was a flicker of irritation in his eyes. Hari felt a strange tightness in her chest. Why did that answer bother her so much? His mother let out a short, dissatisfied laugh. "I hope so. You know the board and your father are watching your every move." She turned and left, without another word. As soon as the door closed, Junhyuk ran a hand through his hair, exhaling heavily. Ignore that. My family likes to interfere more than they should. Ha-ri swallowed hard, still feeling the weight of the woman's presence. I understand, sir. He looked at her again, his expression unreadable this time. Summarize this afternoon's meetings, and send me the report. Also, be ready to accompany me to the corporate dinner on Wednesday. Ha-ri simply nodded, feeling like she had just been pulled into a world where she didn't belong. But why, despite everything, did she feel like this was only the beginning? The corporate dinner on Wednesday was a grand event. The luxury restaurant reserved for the occasion was illuminated by crystal chandeliers, while soft music played in the background. Men in suits and women in elegant dresses moved gracefully through the room, wine glasses in hand, discussing business and strategic alliances. Yoon Ha-ri nervously adjusted the thin straps of her black dress. She still didn't fully understand why she had to be there, but Kang Junhyuk had been clear she was to accompany him. As she scanned the room, a shiver ran down her spine when she saw him enter. Junhyuk was dressed in a flawless suit, his hair perfectly styled. His presence was magnetic, drawing admiring glances wherever he walked. When his eyes met Ha-ri's, he gave her a subtle smile and walked toward her. "You're nervous again," he remarked, picking up a glass of wine from a passing waiter. "I just don't want to make any mistakes," Ha-ri replied, keeping her hands firmly on her dress. "Just stay by my side and observe. Tonight, you'll meet the people who truly control this company." His voice was low, but there was a significant weight to his words. Before Ha-ri could respond, a group of executives approached. Among them was the chairman of the board, a man with sharp eyes and an imposing posture. "Junhyuk, you finally decided to show up," the man said with a controlled smile. "And who is this young lady beside you?" Junhyuk maintained a neutral expression, but his hand lightly rested on Ha-ri's waist, a barely perceptible gesture. "Yoon Ha-ri, my personal assistant." The chairman's gaze swept over Ha-ri appraisingly, as if measuring her presence there. "An assistant? Interesting. You've always been very selective about who you keep close." Ha-ri felt a growing discomfort. The tension between the two men seemed to run deeper than mere business formalities. "I hope we can count on your dedication, Miss Yoon," the chairman finally said before moving away with the other executives. Ha-ri let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "He didn't like me," she murmured. Junhyuk gave a small, knowing smirk. "He doesn't like anything he can't control." Before they could continue, a new presence made itself known. A tall, stunning woman in a form-fitting red dress approached, her eyes shining with something between interest and provocation. "Junhyuk, it's been so long." Her voice was sweet, but Ha-ri felt a chill run down her spine. Junhyuk tensed subtly at the sight of her. "Seo Mirai." The woman smiled and turned to Ha-ri, scrutinizing her with a meticulous gaze. "Aren't you going to introduce me?" Junhyuk hesitated for a second, but soon replied. "This is Yoon Ha-ri, my assistant. Ha-ri, this is Seo Mirai." "A pleasure." Ha-ri gave a slight bow. Mirai tilted her head, assessing her in a way that made Ha-ri uneasy. "Assistant? How interesting." Her eyes gleamed with something Ha-ri couldn't quite decipher. "Junhyuk and I have history together. I hope you take good care of him." Ha-ri felt her stomach twist. Something told her this woman would be trouble. Junhyuk gripped his wine glass tighter than necessary. "Let's go, Ha-ri. We have other people to greet." He led her away, but the unease had already settled. Ha-ri realized that this dinner was not just a business gathering. It was a chessboard where everyone was trying to move their pieces. And now, she was at the center of the game. The next morning, Ha-ri still felt the weight of the corporate dinner. The chairman's scrutinizing gaze and Seo Mi's unexpected appearance had left her unsettled. But what troubled her most was the closed-off expression Junhyuk had worn throughout the night. Arriving at the company, she stepped into her small office beside the CEO's room and took a deep breath. Before she could even turn on her computer, the door swung open forcefully. "Good morning." Junhyuk entered without ceremony, his dark eyes fixed on her. "Good morning, sir," she replied, trying to mask her tension. He crossed the room and stopped in front of her, arms folded. "What did you think of the dinner?" Hari hesitated before answering. "It was interesting, but I felt out of place." Junhyuk let out a long sigh, running a hand through his hair. "I shouldn't have taken you," he muttered. "I put you in the middle of a dangerous game." Hari frowned. Why was Seo Mi-rae there? Junhyuk pressed his lips together, clearly uncomfortable with the question. "She's the daughter of one of the company's most powerful shareholders. My parents wanted me to marry her." Ri's heart gave a painful jolt. "And did you want that?" He leaned slightly toward her, his gaze locked onto hers. "I never wanted it." His voice was firm, but there was something deeper in it. "But they'll push for it to happen, Hari, especially now." A chill ran down her spine. "Now? Why?" Junhyuk took a deep breath before continuing. "Because they know I'm interested in you." The silence in the room was suffocating. Ri's eyes widened, unsure of how to respond. "This is a problem," she finally managed to say. Junhyuk gave a humorless smile. "Yes, it is, but I don't care what they want." Before she could react, the door opened again. A tall man with sharp features and a severe posture entered without knocking. Hari immediately knew who he was. Junhyuk's father, Kang Dae-jung, chairman of Kang Corporation. "Can we talk?" The man's voice echoed through the room. Junhyuk didn't back down. "If this is about Hari, you can say it in front of her." Dae-jung narrowed his eyes. "Junhyuk, you know what's at stake. The company's future, your position, your legacy, and you're willing to throw it all away for an employee?" Hari felt her face heat up. His words were as cold as ice. Junhyuk took a step forward, his expression darkening. "What I do in my personal life is none of your business." Dae-jung let out a humorless laugh. "Do you really think you can defy this family? That you can ignore our rules without consequences?" The air in the room felt heavy. Hari knew Junhyuk was powerful, but his father's influence was undeniable. "I'm not interested in marrying Seo Mi-rae," Junhyuk said firmly, "and I won't give up on who I want." His father turned his gaze to Hari, this time with a calculated expression. "And you? Are you willing to ruin his career? To be Junhyuk's downfall?" Hari held her breath. How could she answer that? Her heart said one thing, but her reason screamed another. The silence that followed was suffocating. Hari felt her heart hammering against her chest as Kang Dae-jung's stern eyes remained fixed on her. His question echoed in her mind. "Are you willing to destroy his career?" Junhyuk didn't hesitate. He held Ri's hand firmly, challenging his father with his determined gaze. "I've already made my choice, father. I won't give up on Hari." Dae-jung's face remained impassive, but something in his gaze softened for a brief moment. "Very well, Junhyuk. If you're willing to face the consequences, so be it. But know that from today onward, you will no longer have my protection. If you fall, you will fall alone." With those words, he left, letting the door close with a dull thud. Hari felt a tightness in her chest. She didn't want Junhyuk to lose everything because of her. "Junhyuk, maybe we should think this through carefully." He turned to her, gently cupping her face. "There's nothing to think about, Hari. I love you, and no one will stop me from being by your side." Tears filled her eyes, and for the first time, she allowed herself to believe that their love could truly overcome everything. The following months were challenging. Junhyuk faced opposition within the company, disgruntled shareholders, and even an attempted coup by Seo Mi-rae and her father. But with Hari by his side, he stood firm. It was a long road to the full acceptance of their relationship, but little by little, Junhyuk proved that he was more than just an obedient heir. He was a leader. And in the end, the board had no choice but to accept him as the official CEO of Kang Corporation. 6 months later, under a beautiful spring sky, Junhyuk and Hari exchanged vows in an intimate ceremony, surrounded by friends and the few family members who truly supported them. Dae-jung did not attend, but he sent a discreet gift, a set of keys to a house away from the center of Seoul. Hari looked at Junhyuk with a gentle smile. "What do you think? Your father didn't come, but he gave us a gift." Junhyuk sighed, reading the card that came with the keys. "If you're happy, Maybe one day, I'll come for dinner." He smiled. "I think it's a start." Hari intertwined her fingers with his, and together, they looked toward the horizon. They had faced the world and won. Now they would build a new story, together.